Jochen Mass obituary. Veteran German racing driver Jochen Mass, who passed away at the age of 78, is being remembered for a distinguished career that, while featuring just one victory in 104 Formula One Grand Prix starts between 1974 and 1982, showcased his talent as a remarkably reliable competitor, often serving effectively as a supportive number 2 driver to world champions such as Emerson, Fittipaldi and James Hunt. One beyond the demanding world of Formula One, Mass also achieved considerable success in endurance sports car racing, most notably securing victory in the prestigious 24 Hours of Le Mans. To his solitary triumph in a World Championship Formula One race occurred under exceptionally somber circumstances during the 1975 Spanish Grand Prix. Having joined the McLaren team for his second season in the Premier category, Mass found himself leading the race on Barcelona's challenging and picturesque Montjuic Park circuit when the event was abruptly halted following a severe accident. The build-up to that fateful race had been fraught with tension. Drivers, led by the reigning champion and Mass teammate Emerson Fittipaldi, had raised serious concerns with the organizers regarding the inadequate assembly of the steel safety barriers surrounding the track. These protests led to significant delays in practice sessions, and it was only after hurried remedial work on the barriers that the event was permitted to proceed. Even then, the protest was so strong that Emerson Fittipaldi ultimately chose not to participate, flying home in a clear display of his dissatisfaction with the safety arrangements. The race itself was marred by several accidents before the truly devastating incident occurred. Another German driver, Rolf Stammelin, driving a brand new car entered by Graham Hill's team, had unexpectedly moved into the lead. As Stammelin commenced his 26th lap, approaching the crest of a hill at approximately 150 miles per hour, a rear wing stay failed. This catastrophic mechanical failure sent his car hurtling violently into the barriers before launching it over them. Tragically, Stammelin survived the horrific crash, but 2 photographers, a track marshal, and a spectator were killed in the ensuing chaos. Despite the scale of the disaster, it took a further 3 laps for the race to be officially stopped. By the time the red flag was shown, Jochen Mass had overtaken Jackie X Lotus to take the lead and was subsequently declared the winner. However, due to the race being stopped prematurely after only 29 of the scheduled 75 laps had been completed, Mass was awarded only half the standard 9 points for a victory. These 4.5 points, combined with other minor placings throughout the season, contributed to his finishing 7th in the final Drivers' Championship standings that year, marking the highest position he would achieve in his Formula One career. Reflecting on that difficult win, Mass later commented, "I took no pleasure in my first F1 victory, believing I'd win many more later." While further Grand Prix wins in Formula One eluded him, he carved out a distinguished and respected career in motorsport and, following his retirement, remained a much-loved and familiar presence in the paddock and at historic racing events, particularly the popular Goodwood revival, to which he would travel from his home in the south of France. For Johann Richard Mass was born in the village of Dorfen, near Munich, in the challenging years immediately following the Second World War on September 30, 1946. He recalled a childhood memory of driving his pedal car through streets still littered with rubble from the conflict. His father passed away when Johann was 9, and following the maritime example of his grandfather, who had been a sailor, he joined the merchant navy, spending several formative years at sea. This passion for sailing remained with him throughout his life, and he would often spend breaks from the intense Grand Prix season sailing his old schooner across the Atlantic Ocean. His initial foray into competitive motorsport came in hill climb events. His impressive performances in an Alfa Romeo saloon in 1970 caught the attention of Ford Cologne, leading to a contract offer. Soon he was competing in the powerful works-prepared Caprice, winning the important European Touring Car Championship Series in 1972. The transition to single-seater racing began that same year with his first races in Formula 3, followed by his first Formula 2 victory driving a Works March car at the legendary Nürburgring. This challenging circuit, spanning 14 miles and featuring 174 corners, was one whose unique demands he particularly relished. For the 1973 season, he raced for the Works Surtees team in Formula 2 before making his graduation to Formula 1 with the same team in 1974. His debut season in the top flight was unfortunately plagued by numerous retirements. Despite these setbacks, he had clearly demonstrated enough of his underlying talent to be signed by the highly competitive McLaren team for the 1975 season. He remained with McLaren for 3 seasons, including the dramatic 1976 season where he was teammate to James Hunt as the charismatic Englishman famously battled Niki Lauda for the world title. 7 During the German Grand Prix that year at the Nürburgring, Mass was leading the race when it was stopped following Niki Lauda's almost fatal fiery crash, eventually finishing 3rd after the restart. A second-place finish in Sweden in 1977 would be the closest he came to securing a second Formula One victory. A move to the ATS team followed in 1978, but the car proved to be uncompetitive, and his season was cut short when he suffered a broken leg in a testing accident. Signing with the Arrows team for 1979 proved only marginally more satisfactory, although he did achieve a notable 4th place at Monaco in his second season with the Milton Keynes-based outfit, a result secured after skillfully avoiding a multi-car pileup at the first corner. His final year in Formula One, in 1982, was an unhappy period spent with the struggling March team. While traveling slowly during practice at the Belgian Grand Prix at Zolder, attempting to give Gilles Villeneuve room to pass, the French-Canadian's Ferrari collided with Mass March, sending Villeneuve's car into a violent somersault. Villeneuve's subsequent death in the disintegrating wreckage sent shockwaves through the Formula One world, although Mass was completely absolved of any blame for the tragic incident. Later that season at the Paul Ricard circuit in Provence, France, he was involved in another frightening collision, this time with Mauro Baldi's Arrows. Mass' car flew into a public area, resulting in injuries to several spectators. As his car erupted in flames, few onlookers, including his wife, who was watching on television, believed he could possibly survive, let alone walk away unharmed, which he miraculously did. It was after this terrifying accident that Jochen Mass decided to retire from Grand Prix racing and focus his considerable talents on sports car competition. He first raced with Porsche, with whom he and Vern Schuppen finished a strong 2nd place at Le Mans in 1982. He then joined the formidable Sauber Mercedes team, achieving his ultimate goal of winning the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 1989, sharing the victorious car with Stanley Dickens and Manuel Reuter. 7 He was tantalizingly close to a second Le Mans victory in 1991, having led comfortably for 17 hours before a minor component failure forced their retirement. 8 This successful period in sports cars also saw him play a crucial role as a mentor to Mercedes' highly talented junior team of drivers who were gaining experience in sports cars before moving to F1, Michael Schumacher, with whom Mass shared the winning car in Mexico City, Karl Wendlinger, with whom he won at Spa, and Heinz-Harald Frentzen. 9 All 3 of these young drivers would go on to follow in Mass' footsteps into Formula One. Jochen Mass is survived by his second wife, Bettina, whom he married in 1994, and their 2 daughters, as well as by his 2 sons from his first marriage to Esti, née Mellet, which ended in divorce. Johann Richard Mass, a respected and versatile racing driver, was born on September 30, 1946, and died on May 4, 2025. 10.